Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm going to turn on a little music and go get my coffee here real fast. We're going to talk stocks. So I hope we're excited about this. Have you a ticker ready? I'm excited. We'll be right back. Let's get her going. Give me about a couple minutes for some people to pile in. Whew, it's hot. There's a 6 or 7 second delay on this from what I'm doing. Can you all hear me? Who's listening? You got your volume up? You got your coffee ready? It's cold in Missouri, I'll tell you that. I just got back from work. What a great week last week. Doing good, doing good. How about yourself? This is called a quarantine lesson. Feel for everybody out there who's been infected with COVID. Friends and family. We're going to let this blast for a few more minutes, a few more seconds, and we're going to get off to the races. Oh, she's done. We'll just pause her right now. Welcome to I Love Stocks. I'm going to do a couple more things here and we're going to get off on the races here. We're going to talk a little bit about Bollinger Bands today. We'll get off talking about Bollinger Bands and we're going to run through stocks. Welcome to I Love Stocks. What do we got here? They're offering a $1 million prize here on Stock Twits. That's unusual. Give me one more second here. Some of you already know the drill. It's kind of a lesson of its own. I sit here for 2 hours and talk a little bit about stocks and about some kind of moving technical trade. I'm a technical trader, as everybody knows. Been trading for over 15 years. I've had a lot of experienced people. I've followed a lot of inexperienced people. And I get most of my experience from the inexperienced, because that's where I learn. That's where I get questions asked and I look them up and I try to figure things out. Well, this one we're going to talk just a little bit about Bollinger Bands. You know, I do the extended trend line method. It's kind of, I don't follow too many indicators. I follow the moving averages, the SMAs and the EMAs, and I started using Fibonacci's, and I'm going to start using the Bollinger Bands. And the Bollinger Bands are well used by many traders. Instead of being off the grid, I figured I'd probably be on the grid for a little while. So I want to definitely welcome everybody in here. And it's very blurry. Is it still blurry? Is it blurry to anybody else in here? Seems like it should be about right, but yeah, I'm feeling better. I think it was probably I thought I had COVID. My doctor thought I had COVID. I own a janitorial business. Not blurry here, okay, because I need to know that. If it was, I'd have to cancel. Maybe reboot your computer or. But there's one thing that you want to try to do when you're trading is to stay healthy. And I'm not overweight or anything like that, but my blood pressure got up a little high this year, and I've been kind of working on that. And I think they over-medicated me, and I started getting COVID symptoms. So I've been tested quite a bit. I own a janitorial business, so that's what I do is clean COVID up. And so I was kind of worried about that for about a month, and I might have had it. It felt like I had something. It didn't feel like the flu or any kind of cold. Couldn't hardly breathe sometimes, but I'm feeling a lot better now. I mean, I've got an extra spring to my step, so I'm feeling real good. Thanks for asking. All right, welcome, Mr. Sky or Mrs. Sky. You know, one thing about names, you don't know who I'm talking to sometimes. So we're going to talk a little bit about Bollinger Bands. We're going to be looking at charts. I'm going to kind of run through a little watch list of stocks that I'm watching. And then I'm going to ask everybody in the crowd to pull up a stock of their own. So at least have one in mind. And then if we get through the list and everybody's done, and if I skip anybody, try to remind me, because it's not easy to try to keep eye on the chat. And in fact, I'll move this chat over where I can see it a little bit better. I think, you know, I always tell people that you need to have 5 rules of trading. You know, you need 5 ways that you want to get into a trade. And mister, that's good to know. But it's good to know. But I have 5 rules, and I go by them pretty much. And if 4 of them are hit, I'm pretty much in the trade. If 3 of them are hit, I'm kind of rely, you know, on other indicators. But if they're all 5 hit, like LMN, what was that stock? It ran real good. LMNA. Yeah. So have 5 indicators. You know, I always say have a good fundamental plan, technical plan. Know the fundamentals and know the technicals about a chart and about the stock. That's probably one of your number ones. News. Try to be in the now. I always try to say, you know, you got to know what kind of feeling that's going on with all the traders that are around you, especially the pros, the fat cats up on Wall Street. You got to know where that money flow's going. And that's part of being part of the technical part of it and the fundamental part of it. And number 4, you got to be in the news. You know, you got to be caught up on the news and what kind of news can run a stock and what can't. You got to know what kind of setup you got. You got to have a good setup. You know, just don't try to trade off of a phone. Some people do, and some people do fine with it. Some people just trade one. You know, I could have traded one stock last year, and that's all I had to watch, just one stock. And I bet you anybody in this room, if they know me, yeah, LMFA, we're going to talk about that one. Welcome, Can the Man. Glad to see you in here. But so that's part of, you know, I got a real nice platform, and I think anybody and everybody should have one. I'll show you what mine looks like. I'll go in here and find it. This is my platform. I got a bunch of monitors. I got my dollar sign in front of me to keep me going, keep me enthusiastic about it. I got my little neon light, keeps time. Too bad it don't keep the temperature outside because it is cold. And I got my TV over on the left where I can watch TV. Sometimes, you know, I watch CNBC, and most of the times I just turn it off. But I can hook up one of my monitors, one of my computers up to that TV too, and run stocks through it. But I got different kind of computers. I got a major trading computer that has 4 monitors on it. Then I got the one on the right where I do a lot of, where my mic's hooked up and other things where I can look at news. And then, you know, I keep eye on other chat rooms, see what they're talking about. It's always good to be surrounded and loved by other chat rooms. And it's always good to weed out the people that are in your life that cause you some kind of stress. So, you know, I think that's a big part of trading. And then you got to have your own plan, you know, like I said, the 5-step plan. So I've named 4 of them. And the 5th one is like knowing what kind of sectors you want to run. Have you a good watch list? Knowing what sectors are running, like the EV car sector, the marijuana sector. Banks are going to be running good this year. Tech stocks, they're going to start thinning out, and because of COVID, tech's had a great run. And a part of the new, and I call this the Roaring 20s. We're in 2022, 2021. I think we're in the Roaring 20s right now, where we're turning into a gig economy, where everybody, if you have like a good hobby or something that you really enjoy, this might be and you can't find work, this might be the time to starting your own business. You know, I can sit here and just day trade all day long. Pretty soon I'll be selling my janitorial business and moving into a nice warm state where the temperature is 85 degrees all year round in Hawaii on the Big Island, maybe Maui. I lived in Hawaii for a while, so next couple of years I'm going to be changing landscapes, and I'm going to go into retirement mode. And I just want to be able to day trade and help others and learn from others. And that's part of my plan. So let's go ahead and get right into the Bollinger Bands. We're going to talk about them for right now. You know, the Bollinger Bands, I've got a chart that I've already kind of illustrated that I'm going to talk about. You know, I can use them for swing trades, day trades, and scalping. Now, I haven't used the Bollinger Bands that much this year, but I plan on doing a lot more swing trading. I'm originally a scalper and a day trader, and I swing overnight. If I get a pop, I try to catch the pops the next day, and if I get a good pop, I'm out of the stock. But I want to try to expand that a little bit longer and become a better swing trader. And I've started two challenge accounts. I've got a margin and I've got a cash. I've been trading margin for a long time, but I don't use the margin. And I think having a cash account, if you have a small account, you can trade them a lot easier and a lot better. When you have a margin account, you have to kind of deal with the PDT rule. So that's something to think about if you're opening up a new account. And I'm going to be using the cash account when my funds settle the next day, because they used to settle in 3 days, but now they're going to start settling in a day, and I use Tastyworks. So I'm going to take the profit that I've had during my challenge account and move it over, and I'll be having 2 challenge accounts started. But the Bollinger Bands, a lot of people use them. John Bollinger developed the Bollinger Bands in 1980. You know, it serves two purposes. To measure the normal trading price range. It's a price action with a 20-day moving average. And you try to get into the expansions and the contractions of the Bollinger Band. The expansions, it means it's buying, and then when they start to detract, it's time to get out of the trade. And then when they're tight and they squeeze, for example, like we have right in here, it's time to get into the trade. You know, oh, I got ground trend. That's supposed to be downtrend. Downtrend illustrates, and I'm going to change this real fast because I can't stand that. Put a D there. Now everybody saw that on social media and probably laughing at me. Downtrend illustrated by falling upper Bollinger Band to the lower Bollinger Band. So, you know, we had the tightness right here. The compression is what they would say. The compression phase, where it compresses and it hits the bottom part of it. And sometimes when you have like a wick that's down below, that falls down below this here, and this body of that candle stays pretty solid, and it's a stock that you like, compared to like Tesla, that's my favorite trade of the year in 2020. And I think Nile will catch up to it a little bit this year, and it'll be my two favorite EV car stocks to watch. But then you start to get an expansion. As the Bollinger Bands expand, you can see that, and it gains above the 20 moving average, you're still in the game. Let's go ahead and move this back. So a lot of people use the Bollinger Bands. When it contracts, you're looking to buy. It's called a squeeze. And when they expand, that's when you want to follow the trade and see where it takes you. So you want to try to get in on the under part of the lower Bollinger Band. There's two different phases. One that can hold above it and one that can go below it for the strong buys. Now this is called compression phase. That's when it starts to kind of compress and tighten up. Then we have that tight squeeze at the end. Now this is how I would look at a swing trade maybe, especially if it got down here at the bottom. You know, the upper part of it means you're still bullish. You're still above that 220-day moving average. And a lot of times when I'm looking at a yearly chart, I'm looking at the SMAs. Let me go ahead and take these off. And I'm trying to look for golden crosses and death crosses. And let's change this up to a year. And I use it on the daily 1 minute too. I really like using it on the daily 1 minute because it's a slower stochastic. You know, it's a slower move. But let's go ahead and go look at Tesla here. Tesla's been just a bullish trade all year long. It's always, the 50's always stayed above the 200, which you could have a golden cross, usually when the 50 is below the 200 and it bounces up, and that's a buy signal. And a lot of times it's a sell signal if the 50 crosses down over the 200. This chart here, I have the RSI and I have the volume bar, and I just have these two moving averages, and I always go to that yearly when I'm looking for trend lines, trying to find support levels, looking for chart patterns. Like we have a pennant flag right here. See a pennant flag? Go ahead and draw this up. And to be a good trader, you need to spot things like this. You know, you got your little pennant flag. Pennant flag can be bullish or bearish, but it depends on what the stock is. But in most cases, it's a bullish flag. Sometimes it takes time, but we squeezed, and we squeezed right in here. Once we bumped across that 50, it was a buy signal. Now, I've been bullish on Tesla for 10 years, if that tells you anything. We've not really ever had a bad pullback on it, except probably when COVID hit, and even COVID didn't pull it back much. And you got bears in here that just will fight with you all day long about Tesla. So this week's case study in the room is going to be talking about Bollinger Bands. And I just want to make that clear. And if you're in the room with me, you can go ahead and check that out with that room that I have in there, and that lesson will be in there. So that's what we're going to be looking at. Then I use another chart. I have all kinds of charts that I use. You know, this here is my automatic Fibonacci chart that's set up. automatic Fibonacci, where you know it automatically tells me where the levels are, and I can always draw them in my own too. You know, I can go in here and I can go to the Fibonacci. Oh, where are you? It's been a while since I've used this. You know, I can bring them down and I can study the Fibonacci's, whatever channel it is, and I'll show you how I use them. This here is on a 10-day, so I kind of like to go down to the bottom part of this. And look at that 50%. It lies right on every one of these. See that? So you always want to try to, I use the bodies, not the wicks. I think the body is more important than the wicks. The wicks are like a little oversold area. The body of the candle is where the most of the congestion is, or compression, where the buyers and sellers are still fighting to bring it up or down. And that's good. Another thing that I'm started learning real well is candlesticks, looking for the breakouts before they happen. So we'll go ahead and clear this drawing out. That's just kind of a little lesson on the Bollinger Bands. I know it was short and sweet. You can do your own homework and check it out. And we're going to get right into the charts. Now, the QQQ is a good example. Miss Vegas took this trade, and it's had a wonderful run. I mean, all the way from 310 up here to 319.83. A very impressive run, and this was a big profit maker for a lot of people in the room. And that's going to be one that we're going to be watching next week, this QQQ. Now, we're getting close to the inauguration of Joe Biden. And some of us think it was kind of crooked, some of us don't. So I don't want to bring politics in, but politics has a lot to do. And I'll tell you, politics has a lot to do with trading. It can move the market up, it can move the market down. Also, the TTM squeeze. Everybody knows that they follow me on the TTM. I do use the TTM. Let me pull up a better chart over here. And I have it hooked up to this one right here. This is going to be my Bollinger Band chart that I'm going to be using this week. And then I'm going to go ahead, well, I'm going to leave all this up. And we'll just go to a different stock. But I like using the TTM squeeze. I have indicators set up on the TTM. Now, if you have TOS, what I have on here is the TTM trend. Then I have the TTM squeeze. And there's other things that you can look up in here. They have like the TTM wave. They have the TTM Pro. They have the TTM scalper alert. You could set the scalper alert up and supply it. It automatically gives you the ins and outs to get into a trade. See, almost every one of these is correct. And this is on a yearly chart. This is great for swinging. It gives you indicators, and remember, I love looking for chart patterns. And we're going to, if we identify any chart patterns that we talk about when we bring up your stocks, I'm going to show you them. If you're not familiar with chart patterns, you better learn them, because that can help your trading 50%. And then the candlesticks, learning how to trade candlesticks is also going to be a good thing for you. I use Trend Spider. It kind of alerts me to these candlestick patterns. So if you're not familiar with Trend Spider, we will have a link down below. We're affiliate with Trend Spider. And we're just going to go ahead and create a watch list for right now. Let me see if I got it up here. And we're going to start talking stocks. I figured I'm going to bring up, today we're going to use a special one, if I can find it here. Anybody familiar with Kathy Woods? This is her watch list. So we're going to go through some stocks in here that I like to watch. I'm just going to go through some of hers. And a lot of them she's been getting in and out of. Last week we were in here, I called TSM. Does anybody remember that? Remember that run we had on TSM? She had that stock and she got out of it. And I'd shake my head, you know. I said, this is going to run. This is going to be a runner. And so we're going to pull up the 20-day. And this is the kind of run we had. She got out of that stock right around here at 110. somewhere around in this level, and look, it just took off. It ran up like a Dickens. I got in this trade and done pretty well, made about $700 on it on an option trade, and then it pulled back Friday. So we might be getting, again, I called it 118 support level, and that 118 was right here, and it's about where she was. That's where she stopped at pretty much. And when I'm looking at a candle and I'm drawing these trend lines, you know, I'm going to draw that trend line on the bottom of that candle, that base. That's what I'm going to do. Let me go ahead and put that in there right now. And I called this out at about 118, and it pretty much pulled right back in there by the end of the day, and then started bouncing up after hours. I got it from this gap. We had this gap right here a couple of days ago. So that's what got me into that support level at 118 right here. That's what I'm looking at. I don't look at the wicks. Now this is very important for people that don't know how to trade candlesticks. The wick is a sign of weakness. It's a sign of bullishness. But also the body of the candle is what makes the market, the support level, the consolidated area. So I'm always drawing lines at the bottom of them candles where they match up. I'm not looking at the wick at all. I'm looking at the body. So if you're drawing up trend lines, you know, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to find support right here at 114.73. But I want to look at the 20-day. First I want to look at the yearly. And what we're going to do is we're going to erase everything on here. We're just going to go through this one right here to identify how I like to trade, how I like to find a support, a pivot point, and a resistance level. So I'm going to go in here, and this year's colors, I change my colors every year. 2020 was this white line. The year before that was a blue line. The year before that was a gold line. And sometimes I can go back when I'm looking for resistance levels and we're at 52-week highs for that year. I'll go back 3 years and look for a trend line. So we're going to clear this all out. We're going to pull this up to a year. And then we're going to start talking stocks. I'm going to be using the Bollinger Band, and I'm going to be talking about the TTM squeeze. And, you know, the TTM squeeze, I might do more elaborate lesson next weekend, next Saturday when we have the 2-hour session. And it's an indicator that tells you when the stock becomes bullish or bearish. You know, when we're riding up here on top on the TTM, on the wave, this is called a squeeze right here. And you can tell by the stock, after we go through a session here, it starts to squeeze. You start to get real red on the low, and then when that yellow starts to come in, that's when it starts to turn bullish. Now you can see here on the Bollinger Band, we're starting to squeeze. We're starting to get a little bit tight here. The volume is starting to turn green. Now I've got this set up. It will show me the trend when the sellers are in the trade and when the buyers are in the trade. Now we're on this yearly chart. She's been under that 20-day moving average. See that? Once she broke above that 20-day moving average, the squeeze began. And usually you see about 6 or 7 dots right here as we start to go up. And if any more, it's going to be consolidating. It's going to continue on, and it could pull back down. But when you get a fast squeeze with 6 or 7 red dots on this thing, and you're set up with toss, you'll start to realize that the weakness is starting to weaken, and the bullishness is starting to begin. And then the green comes in, and then you start to take off, and then you start to see a little weakness. The sellers are leaving the trade, and maybe the buyers or the sellers are selling the trade. So that's kind of, you know, showing a little bit of weakness, but it held pretty well, and it kept above that 20-day moving average. And then she started getting bullish again, and then we had that good run. So that's kind of how that TTM works. And the more you watch it, the more you'll like it, especially if you're a beginner. You know, it's good to watch that and keep an eye on that Bollinger Band. You know, when they start to expand, you're bullish. When it starts to tighten up, you're bearish. And then when you start to squeeze, it really starts to tighten up. Same as right here. You could see once we hit a certain resistance level, the Bollinger Band started pulling back. It started squeezing, started tightening up. And then boom, you had that big breakout. And you had another squeeze right down here. You had a couple of dots. And that thing started turning blue. It was game on. So now we're going to kind of look at supports and resistance levels. And we're going to take this back to the yearly. You got the yearly thing going on here. And I'm going to be looking for places that I want to get into this trade. And we've had a wonderful breakout on this stock, and I'm very bullish on TSM into 2021. We do need to consolidate and pull back a level and find a sideways channel. So we're going to draw that first support line right here, right at the bottom of that wick. We're going to bring this out a little bit farther. And we're going to buy, and we want that 118.45 level to hold on the yearly chart. So I'm going to draw that in. And then in case it fails, we're going to look for an opportunity to buy this stock. And I think if we did fail, it'd probably get down here right around the 15.55 area, or maybe right down here under this spinning top. And that's a bullish candle. You got to look for them bullish candles. This is a kind of a bearish candle when you have the wick above it. And you have this body down here, and she kind of just consolidated for a week. And then we finally had the breakout. We had the doji right here, spinning top. She kind of just went sideways. But this has been a bullish trade all the way from back here at 80 bucks. COVID had a lot to do with it, making this stock run. So we're going to look for another resistance level on the yearly. That's going to be right up in here, right around 121. And then final resistance right here at 125.86. Pay no attention to that wick. Pay attention to the body of the candle. And we're going to put another one right there. Now I'm going to go to the 20-day. We're looking for flags. We're looking for any kind of indicator. My 20-day 1 hour chart is what I go to next. And I try to find anything in here that I missed. I didn't miss much. Maybe this right down in here. And I should put a 118. That's where I called the trade out. That's where that gap started, right in here. So I said this thing could pull back to that gap. And that was also an indicator when my TTM squeezed to buy the trade. And another one. And another one. Not too many sell indicators on this stock right now. But Friday did pull back, and we'll probably see more on the daily. This is kind of a bearish flag to me, but it's still kind of bullish too. The only reason it's bearish is because it broke down below this last hammer right here. That's called a hammer. And that's a bullish hammer, but Friday was kind of a strange day. Stocks pulled back. If you notice, if you have a scanner, you notice that all of a sudden the thing started turning red, and we had a pretty big dip on a lot of stocks, and then it rebounded pretty strong. Everything else came back real strong. We have an ascending triangle right here. This is called an ascending triangle. This is a very bullish pattern. It happened in one day, which caused the stock to run up after hours. That's bullish. So let's see what else, anything in here I missed on the 20-day. So I want to put another trend line right here where we're kind of running up. You see this? You're looking for support levels, and this is a lot of learning how to catch knives. You know, I talk about learning how to catch a knife. We had this ascending triangle right here. And that's what you want to try to find as a solid support. If she does decide to pull back, we're going to go ahead and put one right here too. But you're looking for previous channels, and I kind of like that right there, so I'm going to put a red line here at 114. But I think this year I'm going to turn them green, because the red just kind of matches up too much with this purple. Oh hell, I don't know what price level that was. There we go. I'm going to start turning these green. These are going to be my strong support levels. Make it a little bit thicker, because that's where that triangle was. We had higher lows. Higher lows, that gives you like that trend line area right there. So we're looking for places that pull back. See, that other one was right here on the gap. I seriously would like to see this hold this 118 and keep moving sideways and build a channel for a week or two. And we're going to draw a trend line right up in here. And that's going to be the channel between here and right here. And I'm going to turn this green, because that's what I'm looking at. I want this to be a channel. That's going to be a hard resistance to break. Now, a lot of times you tell me I say hard resistance in the room, and I'll say it on social media. That means it's going to be hard to try to break. Same as support. It's going to be hard to break that lower support. And that's where I'm going to put the lower. And now I'm going to, I should have recognized one. Well, I'll recognize it on the 20-day. I want to look for a pivot point area on the 20-day. That pivot point area is right in here, or it could be right down here. It's kind of hard to say on this stock here because it's ran up so well. So we're just going to leave that alone. We're going to look for a pivot point in this channel though, on the 20-day. And that's going to be right here where this thing kind of found support at. We're going to turn that into a green line. I know you see a lot of green lines, but we're going to go to another time frame. We're going to bust this down now. And we got one more right here we got to draw. That's it. Now we're going to take this to the daily 1 minute, and we're going to look for a place. And we're going to take off these lines because I don't want to look at them. They kind of fog me up. And that's one thing I talk about when a chart starts to get messy to look at. Let's go ahead and clear it all out and start fresh. And I like to keep it simple, and I like to keep it fresh. And that's the same way I do with my watch list. I do it with my trading, and I do it when I relax and meditate because it kind of brings me back to reality. I do meditate. I come in here with a fresh mind every morning, and mood is everything about. If you're not feeling good and you're not happy, you're fighting with your lady, or you just keep tripping that day and on something, you know, like you can't walk straight, just things aren't going your way. It's not a good idea to come in here and trade and spend a lot of money. But this is going to be your pivot point area right in here, right around 120.36. That's going to be the resistance that we want to break. Why? Here's another pattern. Now this is called a descending flag. And let me pull this up and show you what I'm talking about. Descending flag here. There's different kinds, and I'll be showing these flags to you. Fire. They got different kind of patterns. When you're coming from the top, you're coming from above, you know, and you're selling off, and then you start having the squeeze where you start having lower highs, and then you start consolidating on the bottom. Guarantee it, 90% of the time you're going to drop more. You're going to drop more. So what you want to do, you want to start seeing different patterns form. It could be a double bottom. It could be a triple bottom. You know, I talk about double bottoms and triple bottoms all the time. Depends on what the trade is and the momentum of the stock, how you're going to play it. Now, you could have took this trade at a double bottom and run it up to this bottom part of this trend line, but knowing that it's still bearish. Knowing it's still bearish because you're having lower highs. So you don't want to take too many chances with it. This is the opposite, an ascending triangle. And let me show you a different one right here. Then they're inverse and they're inverse. Let's, for example, when you're coming from the bottom, you start getting a different pattern. Now this could be doing the same thing, and then you go into this trade right here. This is called an ascending triangle. You're coming up from the bottom, it's just the opposite. What you're having here is you're having sellers leaving the game, and the buyers are coming in. Then the trend will always come down to that trend line from this first and second bar. And usually when I'm drawing these ascending triangles, I'll go from this one to right here and stop. And then I'll go ahead and extend that line out. And then when that next time that thing touches down to that line, that's a good entry level. It's a good entry level to take the break. And a lot of times are triple top breakouts when that happens. When they're strong, you'll come down 1 or 2, 3 times, about 3 times, and then you'll have that breakout, same as when you're going up, 1, 2, and 3, and then we finally had that breakout. So that's an ascending triangle. These are very bullish. The descending triangle is very bearish. So when you're looking for patterns, always look for that. So we're going to call this trade out now. I missed one line right down here where we went down to that 117 level. So that's going to be what I call a strong buy. If this doesn't hold, we can pull back more. But for right now, I pointed out this descending pattern, and then we had the pullback. We could look for a double bottom, and a lot of times when I'm pulling up like a 5-day chart or even a 1-day, I try to look for them double bottoms. See, we had it here and we had it here. That's more or less a double bottom to me. and it could be ready and poised to break out to resistance levels. And we want to look for places in this chart where we think we have some consolidation. And the first one is going to be right up about where this high was right in here. So if we break that 119.83 area, we can be sure. See where it pulled back right here? We draw a trend line right here. That's what I was pointing at this. We draw that trend line, and we had that nice little breakout. It pulled right back to that top trend line of that previous high. So you're looking for previous highs, you're looking for ascending triangles, and that's a real strong support level. And that's what happened. We pulled back to that support level and she broke on out. So those are little tidbits, short things that I really look for. You know, that I've been in the promised land for about 15 years. Those are my major ones that I look at. Those are my major patterns that I look at. And if you see a pattern start to form, get on the internet and Google bullish patterns. And then you get these images. You pull up the images and you can start studying these different kind of patterns that are bullish. And there's all kinds of little things that can help you do that on the internet. You know, that one's kind of blurry. I don't like that. And they're not being fair to us. You know, they have like cup and handles. These are patterns. These are different patterns. That's kind of blurry too. They're not being fair at all. Here's a cup and handle right here. Well, that's called a cup and handle. It's going to be bullish to you. You could run it up all the way from the bottom. You know, see how it pulled back to this little support area right in here and kind of held? That's called a cup and handle. I call it a bowl. Call it a bowl and saucer. I mean, and then all of a sudden you have that breakout. And you want to try to find previous highs on that chart where it goes out. So that's just another of many. You have head and shoulders. Here's a bullish pattern. Let me pull up some more here. Then we'll get into talking stocks. I just like to point these out because these are indicators that I really like to use. I want to show you one more bullish pattern here, if I can find it. You know, I've talked about the triple bottom. Triple bottom. 1, 2, 3, and then you really start to get the uptrend going on. And once you see that pattern, that's bullish. That's triple bottom pattern. You've got, this is one to really recognize if you want to try to find a bullish or bearish trend. It's when you start to break out and you start to pull back a little bit. Start thinking, oh man, this stock's getting weak. Give it a little bit of time. Then she'll reburn. She'll retrace back up, coming up from the bottom. Same as when you're from the top and she starts to have an upward trend. You think you're still bullish in the trade. That mostly ain't the case. A lot of times she'll pull back again. So that's something you always want to watch. Here's another pattern I'd like to talk about. I talk about the 3 black crows, how to play the 3 black crows and 3 white soldiers. Now I'm superstitious. You know, I get up early in the morning and the crows are out feeding. And the other day, I had seen 3 black crows standing together. They're all eating up off the ground. And I said, I'm going into work, and it's going to be a bullish day for me because I know we're going to have a little pullback. The birds are telling me something. And my dad, I remember a time where we were out in the country, and we were going home, and we were taking this old farm road, and it's the only one you could take to get the shortcut to the house. And we were within about a mile from the house, and a black cat crossed in front of him. He turned that car around and went all the way back to the interstate and climbed the interstate, and it took us about an extra half hour to get home. But he was very superstitious, and I think that kind of fell with me. So things in life and history that you've had, if you're a ball player, or if you played sports, condition you, and memories condition you on how to read charts. Things happen. History repeats itself. So there's little things about yourself that you can pick up and add to that list of 5. But then you have 3 white soldiers. And usually when I see 3 white soldiers, I'm taking profit. I'm getting out of the trade because I know we're going to have a pullback, just like we did right here. 3 white soldiers, pullback. Depends on that next candle. On that next candle, it really depends on that next candle how we're going to hold, how we're going to do. So, you know, that's another pattern. And I really love the 3 black crows. And I love the 3 white soldiers because I've never took a trade wrong that way. Hardly ever. I mean, sometimes you get faked out. They'll pull back and have another candle. But then you got to start studying your candles and your reversal plays. So I think I kind of gone over enough to run some people out of the room. Let's see how many we got. We got 12 in here. So that's, you know, not bad, I guess. We could do better. Be sure to hit that like button. We're going to start going through some stocks. But I want to call this TSM out. I think we're going to look at it here, and we're going to I want to pull up this 5 days plenty enough because we've had such a great run. I want to see this hold, this 114.88 hold if we do have another downtrend. And then I want to break resistance level. And I want that resistance level to be right here, right around the 116.65 if that's the scenario that'll happen. Now we did pull back to my 118 that I called out in the room Friday. And I think we can reverse back up. So I want to try to find a resistance level to break. And that's going to be right up in here at this $120 level. 120, I mean. If we can break past that, we'll get up to new highs. And that's going to be TSM. And I want to keep it in a channel for at least another week and then break on out or pull back because we did have a nice sell-off here. And a lot of stocks kind of did take a sell-off and then rebounded. Tesla was one. So let's see what kind of stocks we got to look at. Or let's go through Kathy Woods. Where is that thing at here? We're going to go through here and just see what we like. That Roku, didn't that have a nice run last week? Roku. Let's go to my 200. Eliminate some of this crap. I like to keep it clean. Now see, I've got this pretty fogged up, so I'm just going to go ahead and erase everything up. Roku had a wonderful, we've got three beautiful breakout candles on this, so I'm expecting this to pull back a little bit. We hit 402.85, so we're going to draw a couple trend lines on Roku. We're going to draw one there, and we're going to draw one right here. We're going to draw another one off the body of this new high here, and then a low right down here, and then the final one right here. I'm drawing it off this candle right here. We're going to go to the 20-day. See if I missed anything. 20-day, you can fine-tune it a little bit. That's going to be right here, where we had this big engulfing candle. Bullish engulfing candle. Bearish candle. Then we had call it fish hook. This is what I call a fish hook. Now, then we ran up and pulled back to this previous low we had right here on this engulfing candle. I'm going to adjust it to this area right in here. So this is your pivot point on the 20-day. After we had the breakout, this is your pivot point area. So we're going to turn this green. It's going to be our solid support level. We're looking at the previous high. We're looking at the previous high. So that's going to be your solid support, about midway in that big old candle. Your second support is going to be right down here at the 370 level. Then that first one's going to be, well, we're going to fine tune this in a little bit. This has just been a beautiful run, and I do expect it to pull back a little bit and consolidate. But I kind of like this area too. This is going to be a strong buy. If it reaches down to 360, that's going to be where I want to get into the trade. So we've got our third support right here at 370, 379.62, and then at 300, 390 area. Then we got resistance to break is going to be this 400, not the 402, not the wicks. But for right now, we want this to be the hard resistance. So we're going to turn that green also. Now I'm using these colors because this is going to remind me of how the stock run in 2021. I would have kept my white ones up there, but we've had such a big breakout and I wanted to clear up the chart and make it simpler. Do I see any patterns in here? Not really. I just see a diagonal pattern right here, and then I see this little fish hook. Pocket pivot, some people would call it. It's usually after about a 10-day downtrend, but that would be called a pocket pivot. And then she breaks out and finds support level from these previous low that we had right down here. So the pullback supports 390, 379, and then that 370 area with resistance to break right around 400. That's going to be Roku. If we can get past that, we'll take it up to 310. Another one on her list is Zoom. Zoom is a COVID play. It's starting to consolidate, as you can see here in the 10-day channel. Kind of found a lower support down here at 336. So we're going to draw a trend line right there. We're going to look for a pivot point in this channel. I was showing long lower shadow candle right here. This is where Trend Spider alerted me this candle. So we're going to remove that drawing. And that was right in this area right in here. We had the same kind of pattern, that big engulfing candle. Then she ran up a couple days and pulled back to a double bottom. This is on the 20-day. Bounced up off that 20-day bottom. So in this channel, we're going to look for a pivot point. But first, I want to draw me a resistance line. And that's going to be the high that we had. You notice on the 20-day, it runs right into that 200 SMA. That's a slower stochastic. It's still bearish. This is called a death wish. This is called a golden cross. See how she broke out during that golden cross? This is called a death wish. And that's when she started pulling back pretty strong. Very strong two patterns right there if you're using the 200 and the 50 SMA. So we're going to look for a pivot point in here. We're going to look for a place that previously pulls back and a place maybe that previously pulls up. And I'm just seeing this area right in here where we couldn't break resistance up here and we held support right in here. So that's going to be a little pivot point in the channel. Anything below that is a support. Anything above it is resistance. I'm going to look for another spot right in here. We're going to call this out. We're going to know where we're going to get into the trade and where we're going to get out of the trade before we even buy this stock. I want to change this color to pivot point area to a green because that's my pivot point inside the channel. That's going to be hard resistance to break. And look, that's where last 3 times she couldn't break it. Maybe come in tomorrow. Depends on the news. This is definitely a COVID play. And I'm glad she's pulled back because this thing ran up 500, if I remember right. She really took off. And I called this trade out at 111, right when COVID started to hit. So we're going to find another support level right in here. That's where we had that previous high and that low. She kind of just went sideways. Then we're going to look for a couple more in here, and then we're going to start talking stocks that you want to choose. So we've got a channel, we've got the low support, we've got the pivot point, and we got the resistance level. Let's fine tune this just a little bit more for maybe the first support level. That's going to be where it pulled back on these 2 candles right here. So we got 3 supports, and let's look for another resistance level, one to break. Right here. This area right in here is where we're going to call that third resistance, or the second one. Let's look at the 20-day. Let's look at the 1 minute now. This is what I like to look at. We're going to draw another one right here. That was the low that we had on Friday. Then we had the triple top break into after hours right here. But I'm going to adjust this because I'm looking for the body. I'm trying to just try to find an equilibrium, and that's going to be right in here. Then we got another one right down here. I hope this ain't confusing, but the pivot point on this stock was right about in here on Friday, right about 343.96. Let's go back to the 20-day now. So we know that this is going to be a strong buy, this 340. That's going to be like your very low area to hold. If this thing pulls back and we hit a double bottom, I'm going to take the trade and run it back up. That's going to be that 340 area on Zoom. Then you've got these other support areas. This one here is going to be probably your second strong support area. Second strong support. And that's where I'm going to put my second support at 346. If it breaks below that, we could retrace back down. And then your first support is going to be the triple top breakout, that horizontal line. That's right at 349.22. And if we can break past that and move on up, that's going to be a good sign. COVID is severe in a lot of big places. It's going to be a new gig economy. I think there are going to be a lot of other companies coming out with things like Zoom, just like Tesla. Tesla was the big booster for the EV car industry. That's what got it motivated. And it took 10 years. It didn't take the government. It took private sector to get that business going. The government maybe them idiots up there might want to take claim to it. I don't believe that. I think the private sector is what makes the market. The fat cats follow government because they want that money flow. And that's how they think. But we have a lot of individual traders that are in the market now that are manipulating the market, and it's kind of confusing these fat cats. So I don't listen to what they have to say 3/4 of the time. I listen to what the chart tells me. That's why I'm a technical trader versus a fundamental trader. A lot of these fat cats run on fundamentals, and a lot of technical traders run on technical, part of it. And that's what's confused the fat cats. I mean, a lot of them are saying we're bearish, we're bearish in the market, and all it's done is just run up, run up, run up. You got to follow the price action, and you got to follow the money flow. And not a lot of that money flow ain't coming from them fat cats. It's coming from retail traders. I know a lot of millionaires that were made last year. So we're going to be talking about Zoom. So we've got that triple top for your first support. Your second one's going to be here at 346, and your strong buy is going to be the double bottom at 340. We're going to look for a resistance to break, and that's going to be that 350 area. Let's try to keep it in the channel. If it breaks out, we're going to look at the 20-day one more time, and we're going to bring it up to this higher level, these other three resistance bars that we have up here. And that could be either up 357, no more than 364. But I'm thinking this number right in here is 364. That's going to be a hard resistance, and that'll run right into that 200 SMA. So let's look at one more in here that I like. Now remember, this is Kathy Wood's watch list, stocks that she's in. I always like to pull up the volume high when I'm looking at these stocks, like PLTR. What'd I do with it? When I'm looking at a watch list, I'm looking for volume highs. So I always like to pull the volume high up more over than the percentage high. The volume low are bearish to me, and that's when I start weeding them out. I'd weed probably every one of these out of here on her list, and I wouldn't take any one of them trades. Why? Because the momentum's in the volume. The momentum's in the volume. And sometimes I'll bring up that percentage rate. I'll look at it, and I'll see what's had a good run. And I'll be looking at maybe Shop or Spotify or Roku. This one here has had a pretty good percentage gain, maybe off of news. PayPal, I'm bullish on PayPal. Now, people were asking me in the room, we called this out a couple weeks ago, and I said I was bullish on PayPal, and I like PayPal, and we're back up here to resistance levels again. someone was in the trade with me on this stock and they were worried about getting out of it. And I said, as long as we keep in this channel, we're going to be fine. It did have a day where it did pull back, but look, I mean, it created rhythm and bounced on up and broke out the past couple of days. So I'm very bullish on this stock, and I got a target to 250 on it. PayPal, we got to break a resistance level. You know, you can see, do you see where the resistance level is? Anybody in the room see where that resistance level is? Where's my... I gotta get back here and start looking at people. The resistance level is going to be right up here on the 20-day, right around 346. That's what we got to break to bring it up. If we break past that 346, we're going up higher. We're going up higher. So it's good to have these lower supports colored in when you're looking at stocks. Now this is 2 weeks ago when we did this chart, and I called it out. You see how it kind of stayed in that channel, in that support channel all week for 7 days. And then it's broke out a few times. Found resistance up here to where we had those previous highs. See that? That's what you're looking for. You're going back and looking at history. You're looking for patterns. And I don't know how I called this out a couple weeks ago, but I did call this channel out because I colored it in. And we held inside that channel. Maybe because of this engulfing candle. Who knows? So I'm going to still extend that on out and still use it as a support level. But now I want to raise the bar up a little bit. I want to take this previous high and call that my support level. So I'm going to turn that baby green. I want to see this hold when we come in here Monday and it does pull back. I want to see that 237.96 hold. We're going to look for another support level right here. We're finding it right in this area right here. I'll show you here why. I'll draw it in. Then I'm going to take this. I'm going to put it in a couple circles. Well, I don't want to put it there. We had this channel. We pulled back. Tried to pull back. We had that resistance level. So that's going to be like your other support level. Same thing right here. You know, we had this level here where she pulled back. We had this level right in here where she pulled back. And finally it just gave up and dived down into that support level. So as we look and we raise the bar up to 237, we want to try to hold that support level because that's where we consolidated. You look for places of consolidation. You look for places that couldn't break out. And this happened many a times. So that's pretty solid. It's pretty solid support. And I like to see that hold. So we've created two little support areas. Definitely on the top of this channel. We've got this 234 that we counted on where we had another area of consolidation. Then we had another area of consolidation. So your first support is going to be right in here. Now we have another spot right in here. Some people don't take time to learn this stuff and they get stuck in the trade. They always want to know where to get in and where to get out of a trade. And this is what you got to do. This is what you got to learn. Look at chart patterns and look for prices that have consolidated and couldn't break out. So we got a resistance level to break at 246. Now I want to do one more thing. I want to go back to the year. That year high was at 244.25. Okay, so that's really the place that we got to break. We're going to go back to that 20-day. And 246 on the 20-day chart is going to be our new resistance, and I'm taking this up to 250. Now, if it pulls back and no lower than the 237, where the new channel is going to begin, I'm raising up the bar. I'm raising this thing up to this level right in here. And I want to color this in because we've had so many highs right in here. So this is going to be our new support channel. If you're paying attention, I hope you are, because this is going to be a very good lesson for your charting. Remember, I'm a technical trader. I'm not a fundamental trader. I need to learn my fundamentals a little bit more this year, and that's what I'm working on. I'm going to work on my fundamentals, and I'm going to work on my swinging a little bit longer and staying in the trade. Hanging around Miss Vegas has been very helpful to me. It's taught me how to stay in trades longer. And when you're around good traders, you learn things that they do good. And they're not, I mean, they don't have a lot of things they go. I have many charts. I have many ideas. And sometimes you can know too much. So it's kind of good to thin out what you're good at and then warm up on stuff that you previously used, and keep that in mind, because every day is a different day. And I'm bullish every day if it's bearish or not. My days are better when the market's red than when they are green. It's vice versa with Vegas. She does much better on a green day. She loves them 52 highs, week highs. She loves them breakouts. So I learned that from her. There's other traders in the room. Basscat. I mean, he's a more of a fundamental trader, and he's a technical trader too. But he knows where that money's going. And Tony, he's a money flow guy. He's a chart pattern guy. He looks for bottoms. He likes to find bottoms, patterns. And then when he finds a pattern, he has them named his own personal way. And like the J-Lo bottom or you know, Viagra. It's patterns that he looks at when he gets into a trade. If he don't see them patterns, he will not get into the trade. And he's very, let's say, picky about getting into a trade. He's got to see what he's looking at. And I've added on to, he taught me how to use the EMAs. You know, I was an SMA trader because it's a slower stochastic. And I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. I admit that. And that's why I use that SMA, because, you know, it worked well for me. And it's the same thing with you. You get what works well for you, and then you learn to capitalize on that, and then you add on to your tools, to your arsenal. So PayPal. We got new channel, we're raising the bar. We've got different support levels. We got this first one here at 237.36, 239.67, and 241.37 with a resistance to break of 246. We get past that resistance, we're going to 250. Then we're going to have a hard resistance. Then that's when I go to even numbers, when I'm looking for new resistance levels. So I think that's it with that. Welcome to the room, the ones that just joined up. We're going to be looking at some stocks, and we're going to start writing them down. I'm going to be watching every one of these trades next week and maybe do a follow-up video. So the first one on the list, and I really appreciate the people that are in the room today. I want you to hit that like button so YouTube knows that I'm sharing and helping others. And share, this will be recorded. So if you know any beginner traders that want to learn things that I've kind of talked about today, you can share that with them. There's be in the description down below. Plus, I'll put my Trend Spider. I think my Trend Spider links down there, and they're having like a 16% sale right now. For some reason, I couldn't pull it up today. I got to figure that one out. But we're going to start looking at stocks that you like, and we're going to look at, first one we're going to look at is going to be IDEX, and that's Limerick. This guy's smart. He knows his stuff. Got Can the Man with LMFA. That thing's going to be a good runner. He's stoked. Limerick's stoked about IDEX. Made bucks on it in the past week. Let's keep it going. Can the Man, you should have a nice setup. Can the Man is a millionaire. He's one that I've watched from the very beginning when I got on Discord. He knows his stuff. He has a Discord room, so if you ever wanted to join it. But he really knows his stuff, and I've learned a few things from him. He has his own style, as everybody in this room should create their own style of trading. You know, I like to buy at support and sell at resistance. That's my game. And I have many arsenal tools to do that with. So we're going to do IDEX. We talked about this a lot. You can see I've already kind of charted it out. I want to look at the yearly. Whoops. Going to look at the yearly and see if we're at a yearly high. No, we can go up on this trade. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear this out and get a better picture so I can show everybody how we're going to chart this baby up. I want to look for a yearly pivot point in the channel. This has had some real nice breakouts and some pretty hard pullbacks. This is on the yearly. Let me pull up. Now we're going to do this. First we're going to look. See, we had a golden kind of where she held up and found support here, running up against that 2. Then we had the golden cross right here. I mean, it was starting to show bullish patterns. A lot of times these stocks will pull back to that 200 and bounce off that 200, bounce on up. So let's look for a pivot point, and we found it right here. This is how you find the pivot point in a channel, right there. I got to go up here and I'm looking for a previous low, previous high. So it's going to be right in here. It's going to be the pivot point. That's going to be our support level. See, we did pull back and hit that. I always talk about them previous highs, right? There's a pattern. That's called an ascending triangle. Right there. That's an ascending triangle. And then we had that big pop. Didn't hold up well, but we did have that big pop. So I'm using this as a support level now because the chart pattern. And we tried to break out of it once, and then we had those 3 days where it just took off like a rocket. So we're going to find some more support levels on here. And this next one's going to be right around this 276. We got this level right here at 258. And then I want to see this 233 hold. That's where we had that engulfing candle. It's another pattern, candlestick pattern. This thing ran all the way up to 388. Well, I always like to look at the news when I'm looking at a stock. I want to see what's got this stock running. You know, is it a pump? Is it a low float stock? When we're looking for low floats, do you know where we look at? We look for FinViz. So we go FINVIZ, and we pull up the FinViz platform. And then I want to type this. I want to know what size of float this is. I want to know what kind of trade it is. And right now we're at 194 million on the float. This is also where you can get a lot of your fundamentals at. We've had a pretty good run on it. Not a beast for the year, I mean, but she's pretty nice. So we know that this is just, it's not in the low float category, which is around 25 million and under. And the lower it gets, the more volatile it gets. So I'm not worried about the float. To me, the stock can hold up pretty well. We're going to go to this previous high right here and see how she pulled back from that previous high and that previous high we had right here. So we had like a triple top breakout, engulfing. Then I want to draw one more trend line right in here. I'm looking for places that it can break out. I'm using the bodies of the candles, not the wicks. I don't give a crap about the wicks. The only time I care about the wicks is if we meet up again or if I'm looking for a new resistance level. Then I'll go ahead and draw in the wick. But for right now, I don't give a crap about them. And that's just, and I truly say, I truly believe that, because I've charted up over 1 million charts, and they've been so accurate. I look at the body of this one, and look how she closed. You know, it didn't close on a wick. Closed on the previous body. There's evidence of how important them are. So we've got a support level right here where we're going to call this a green. We're going to draw this in green. Then I'm going to look for another one right down here. That's going to be green. That's what I want to see hold, that 255 area. I want to see this previous high that we had to hold. So that's going to be a strong buy at 258. Right there. If she pulls back to that 258, that's going to be my third support. My second one's going to be right here. Right there at 276. And then the first one is going to be right at the $3 level. Resistance to break is going to be right around 347 up to 395. And if we can break that 395, we're going to take it to Wonderland, 475. The news, I always like I said, I always like to look at the news. Overall market, despite optimism, some stocks run up as consumers buying. I don't see anything in here that would make this stock run. Unusual options alert. That might be the one. We got CFO and poor participate in the raw. Okay, here, this is what made it run. EV Symposium. The vehicle electric for $50 million. So they're buying, agrees to acquire a wireless advanced vehicle electrician for $50 million. So this is what got this stock running. It's in the EV part, right? Is that why you like it? Where am I here? Man, I can't keep losing my streaming thing. Get right back here real fast. Let's see what we're doing, what we're talking about. That's probably why you like the stock, right? Because it's in the EV sector, EV car sector, and I'm very bullish. I told you I was bullish on the EV car sector 3 months ago. This is going to be my favorite sector into 2021, which includes Nile and those other ones. So called out the supports and called out the resistance levels. We're going to think no lower than this 258, 276, and $3 to hold to keep it very bullish, with a resistance level to break of 345, 395 to 473. And the next one we're going to talk about is LMFA. Vegas called this stock out. I scalped it a couple times. She got in this at the very beginning. She loved the news. It was the news that kept her in this trade. And also the float rotation. If I remember, it rotated 16 times. Now, what do I mean by float rotation? And we're going to go to FinViz. We're going to type in this ticker, LMFA, and has a low float of around 13 million. Now, 13 million float. That's real good. That's a steady float. A lot of pumpers get into the trade when you see 1.5, 2.5 million. That's when you got to know that you're playing with a lot of people that are into the trade just for the low float. Very low float. And that's going to be more volatile. But this one was volatile because of the news. It had great news. Plus, it's a low float stock. And the rotation of a float is the volume divided by the float rotation, gives you how many times that float rotates. And when that float rotates a lot on real good news, this is into a SPAC. So this stock is going to really start to fly. I think this stock can go a lot higher, LMFA, personally. I think it can. I think we're going to have a resistance level to break on this stock. And we did go up to about $4. So we're going to draw this last trend line right here. See, I've got trend lines on here all the way back to 2019, and I haven't drawn any up in 2021. I mean 2020. The blue ones were 2019. So now we're looking at 2021. I'm back to looking at this stock again. Let's go to the 20-day. See if I missed anything in here. These are going to be my new support levels. And I'm looking at these beautiful engulfing candles, and this is on hour. So this stock could pull back a little bit, and I want to add this trend line right here at 212. That's going to be the strong buy for me if this thing pulls back to that 212 area. Oh, I want to make that green. Changing the colors around a little bit. Strong buy right in here. And if let's pull up the Fibonacci. This is on a yearly chart. So we're going to draw a couple trend lines. At 3, oh, this is the wrong stock. Oh, I was wondering what the heck was going on. Wondering what was going on. I don't want to use these yet, but I could say that could be a resistance level. This one right here at 274, and we did bust past that. So we'll go to the 20-day now. Just a beautiful breakout. I like this area right in here a lot. It's 212 for a solid support for the third one. That second one's going to be right around the 242, and that first one's going to be here at 274. But I want to adjust it on up to these other two candles. 308. Right there at 280, 287. That one there, and then that right there. She had a nice little run after hours, then to 395. I'm going to use this wick. That's going to be the hard resistance to break when we come in here Monday. Now let's go do the 1 day, 1 minute, see if I missed anything. Nice little chart pattern right here. Double top, triple top breakout right here. Descending pattern after hours, but it didn't last very long. Just a short squeeze. And the moving averages I have on here are my EMAs. So I think it could pull back to this 296, pull back to that 200 EMA. 50% retracements right here at 242, where we had the triple, where we had this upward wedge. So I kind of want to make that my, I want to make this area here my support to hold. That triple top. That's right at 294. We'll see how this, we want to, it might have some selling. I'm not sure. This stock's very bullish. And then we got one right here on the minute. Right there at that 374 area, 371. So, and we're going to put one right in here, and we're going to draw this in. This is going to be our support channel. Where are you? I want to see this support channel hold. I don't want to see it going any lower than that. That means it's going to be bearish. It's going to be bearish. So if this thing pulls back to the top of that support at 294 and bounces back up, we're going to be bullish into the trade. Now you might get some selling first thing in the morning, or you might get a good pop on it. And if you get a good pop and it runs past this 4 and moves on up to 5, it can pull back to this previous high, and that's going to become your new support at 371. And in case it doesn't do that and it pulls back, you're going to have a strong buy right down here, right around 264. And then that first support's going to be right here at 294. Okay? We want to see this area hold. See it pulled back right to this previous high. That's where we want the stock to hold, to be bullish. I mean, if we get a retracement and it just pulls back a little bit, this thing's going to be running up. Because the news was wonderful on this trade. SPAC registration announces filing for a SPAC registration statement. That's big. That's huge. SPACs have been running. SPACs are the new IPOs. They used to be kind of a laundering system. Now they've become a new kind of IPO where you got smart money getting into the trade. Smart people. And they're well regulated. They weren't regulated back in the old days. Then you got the offering, and there's a reason why they wanted to get some money. So they got something big going on in this into next year. I think this stock can run up a lot higher if you want to know the truth. I think we can get this thing to $10, but we got to break this 395. If we can do that, we're going to go up higher. Then we're going to hit those previous highs that I talked about on the year. Get it up to right around 489 with a hard resistance right up in here, and we've already bumped past that. So 489 ain't going to be a hard to get to. If we can get to that 489 and we break 5, this thing could really start to take off and start, especially if the volume is in there and we start getting that float rotation. This is what got Vegas into the trade, was the news, and then what kept her in the trade was the float rotation. So that's LMFA. I really like it a lot. Next one, we got another one in here. Duncan. Okay, let's do Duncan. We're making some pretty good time here. You know, I've kind of talked a little bit too much, so I might extend this out a little longer. I hope we did pick up a lot of good stuff in the room today on YouTube. I mean, on this session. We're going to go ahead and clear this out because it's getting a little bit blurry. This is on the yearly chart. Let's see if I had any great news. DraftKings, Como, I think it was Como, or one of them kind of gave this stock a bullish run. Gave it a kind of a bullish, that was in the news. So I do like this trade into next week. I'm going to look for a pivot point area on the 1 year chart, and that's going to be right here at 44.54. I want to see that hold. See where we had this pullback. That's the pivot point area. You know, I don't want to see it go any lower than that 44.54. I'm going to look for another support level right in here where we had this pattern all the way across. Then I'm going to look for a resistance to break, and that's going to be right up in here, this previous high we had right here, this candle. I'm going to look for a little area in between here, and that's going to be right here. Had this nice little pullback, and then we had this resistance levels, kind of an equilibrium. And then a low support. Looking at this area right in here. Yeah. We've got that. We've got that breakout right there. Okay. Then we got a hard resistance break here at 55.18. That's going to be that double top on DraftKings. That's where we're going to take it to. And if it can break past that, I'm going to be looking, well, how does he know where them resistance levels are going to go? You know, I get a lot of people that ask me, what's next? What's next? Well, you try to look for previous highs, and you go off the basis of them candles. These are going to be my other 3 resistance levels if we break past this double top. See, where we tried to break it once, it didn't do it. It couldn't do it here. But maybe the 3rd time up, we just might get there. And I'm bullish on the trade. Any kind of pullback right now is going to be a strong buy. Here I wasn't that bullish on it, and I told the room that, and we pulled right back to that 200. And I use that 200 EMA a lot. A lot. We bounced off that 200 here. So if I was looking to swing the trade, I'd wait and put me an alert down here and take it from there. If I was learning to scalp it or day trade it or maybe swing it for a short period, I'd be getting in the trade on the little pullback and running it up and hoping resistance breaks at $55. That's how I would look at that. So you could look at charts in different ways. It depends on how you trade, what time you have. You can trade the market any way you want, and you can fit that to the way you trade. You know, if you just want to trade earnings, some people just trade 3 stocks a year. I could have just traded Tesla last year and done just fine. Nile, I could have just traded that. You know, I could have kept it private, and just all I did was just trade those 2 stocks all year long. And that's what some people do. They get so familiar, and that's what you know, in the room, we call out the same trades every other day. It's always, well, okay, this is ready for a pop. Maybe 2 weeks ago, we were looking at DraftKings and it wasn't doing very well, which it wasn't. It was selling off, but it started to reverse. And we talk about this all year long. This stock. It became bearish and it came bullish. It depends on what the politicians are acting like. It needs to be well regulated. With COVID, people aren't going to the casinos anymore. So, they can't bet at the casinos. They got to do the betting online. People make money just betting and playing poker. I know a guy made $250,000 when I lived in Hawaii in 1 year playing poker. It's just crazy. The guy was so sick. It's all he dreamed about. And I'm a good poker player, but not on the machines. I can hustle. Hustle? Anybody in game poker. I wait until they start getting drunk, and then I really start going to town. I do the fake drink, like I'm getting drunk. And by the end of the day, I'm the one with all the money, because they're starting to make bad mistakes. And something you don't want to do is, come in here all high and drunk, or you make bad decisions. So we're going to take this resistance level at 55. That's what we got to break. And we want this thing to hold down here at 44.36. The second support is going to be right here at 47.79. And that first one right here at 50.76 with a resistance to break is going to be between this 53.38 and that 55 area. And if we can bust past 55, we'll bring it up to these previous highs, 56.71, 58.87, and 60.93. Now, like I said, you can go back and scroll through this and keep these charts. Just if you share them, just say, Washboard Jim did it from I Love Stocks. But you can keep them for yourself and copy and paste them, and then try to draw up your own resistance lines and support levels. DraftKings, I like it. DKNG. Next. All right, Steve, good to see you in here, my buddy. We've been trading together for a long time. Okay, I've got 3 choices here. Bongo, which had some bad news, had an offering. NCTY, I like it. And JAGX. Okay, let me see here. Give me a choice between the 3. If I can read your name. I can't read your name, so we'll look at, I don't want to look at, well, Bongo, I'll just give you a fast description of what I think about Bongo. Bongo made a big mistake. Had an offering. Stock sold off. Shares dropped 14% on public offering. I don't like to trade stocks that have offerings, but if they have some good news with them, I could be very interested, So they want this stock, they priced that offering down here at 305 a share. So that stock could pull back to 305. Let's see if it did. I don't think it did. So that's the one reason why I didn't trade the trade. People were running it on the way up. But that's a huge public offering. That means they're broke. It means they have no money. And I want to know, I would look up to see how many offerings have they had in the previous days. There's not hardly any news on this stock. So I want to look at the float. I want to see if it's been a pump. It's not been a pump because it's got 150 million float. But it did get a lot of social media, and it's a cheap stock. So let's go to the 20-day and see if I can see anything here on the 20-day. We're going to try to buy this at a support level. Now, I did pull back to my first support channel that I did draw in here, and I did call out this triple top or this ascending triangle right down here for your very low support. Kind of had like a little fish hook, and she had a real nice run. I'd like to see it pull back to that 50% retracement, and it did right here, right around 388. But we did have a nice little run to close after hours, and a lot of people, I'll tell you one thing about Wall Street and about people. They have a very short attention span. Some people don't even remember, probably won't even remember the offering or don't even care about the offering. They just care about the momentum and the price action. So every Monday's a new day. And people have a very short attention span. I mean, it don't last probably a day and then they forget. But usually in the week, most people forget what happened the previous week. So they're going to probably forget about this offering, and the momentum's going to start picking up. But I think it can pull back into this channel. This first channel of support, 387 to 433. That's going to be like your solid support. Your first support's going to be right in here, right around 466. That's going to be your strong first support. Second's going to be here at 433 with a strong buy at 387. We're raising the bar up. See how many times we raised the bar on this trade? I've drawn this up because I was looking for it to pull back a little bit more, but we did pull back to that 50% retracement on the 20-day chart on the Fibonacci. Resistance to break is going to be right here at 510, 510, 509, and then you can maybe take it up here to right around 543, and then 562 for a hard resistance. If I was in the trade and I run up here right around the 560 area, I would maybe take profit. Now, I'd be a strong buy if it did pull back to this 387 to this 432 channel. So I'm not 100% bullish on this trade. I'm just going to follow the price action, and that's it, the price action. It can pull back to this low support area right around $3 if it decides to knife into this other support channel. If this does not hold, now if you see a retracement from that 387, she'll run back up, break resistance at the 510. Like I said, hard resistance at 562. Bingo. Bungo. NCTY. I'm going to give you just them two. Then I'm going to move on to someone else. So we got a support level here at 1275. First, we want to check out the news. 11 certain stocks, 52-week high. Walgreens beats expectations. 9 LTDR. What's this company do? Company's trading activity. Kidney surgeon rising 59%. Don't see any Pacific News justifies the run. So there's nothing in here telling me why this stock's running. Stock's lower. OPEC. So let's go ahead and look at the float. Yeah, this is a low float stock. So in my mind, this is a pumper. It's at 174. So you're going to have a lot of people looking at it. You're going to have a lot of volatility. I didn't see any Pacific News that would cause this stock to run up. Unless you know something I don't know. But I do want to look at one thing. I want to see what they do. So when I do that, I just type in NCTY. I go to Wahoo Finance, and I try to see if I can find any headlines in here that would turn my pickle green. I want to see what kind of company they are. You have a web page here. It's a China stock. That tells me something right there. Limited, China-based, they're into blockchain. Okay. So it's going to be, I heard that was going to be highly regulated in China. Maybe they'll lower the regulations on it. But for right now, I'm bearish. But I'm just going to run with price action. So I'm thinking low support right down here. Then we got another one right here. We got resistance to break right here. I think the stock can pull back. There's a lot of reasons why I said so. It's a pump and dump. There's no news in it that I can justify the run. There's better trades to trade. Mara, Riot. The fact that this is a low float, this will get a lot of room's attention. So you might see it pop up in their room. So no lower than maybe this 948 for a strong buy. And I'm going to look for a little area in between here. And I'm thinking right around 1092 in this area right in here. Can pull back and hit that 200 on the 20-day. That's the EMA. But I want to see this area hold here at 949. I'm bullish on the blockchain. I mean, look what happened to BT. Blocked at 40,000. We called 35,000 and I said 40. Now we're getting up there where I think we need a little healthy pullback. But the momentum is on the bull side right now. Resistance to break is going to be this 1454. And then you got a 1552. And then probably a hard resistance right here at 1649. So strong buy if it pulls back to 948. Third support at 1092. 1189 and then 1274. And resistance to break is going to be beyond on up to the different resistance levels. 1454, 1552, and 1642 with a hard resistance up here around 1788. That's that one. Let's see what else we got. Where am I again? So we got Riot. Let me see if we missed something up here. We got that. I'm going to go ahead and put this stock in here, NCTY. The next one we're going to look at is going to be Riot. That's a more bullish stock. Mara, I think, is really starting to pull its weight too. Riot, I think, can go definitely higher. We got to kind of think. It depends on how Bitcoin runs. So this is a sister play to anything that Bitcoin does. Keep that in mind. If Bitcoin pulls back, this can pull back. If it starts to break out, it can break out. I think I might have to go back 3 years on this chart to look for resistance levels. But we got a spot right in here I really like at 2490. It's where we had this previous high and then we had the pullback. Then we got another consolidated area here right around the 2646. I'm using the bases, the bodies of the candle. See, I can eye that pretty good, right? That's pretty small when you're getting in there, but when you've done them so many times, and we just couldn't break that almost all day long, and then finally we had this little doji hammer, whatever, bam, she went ahead and broke out. But let's pull this back 3 years. See the 3-year high? Let's pull it back one more year. Let's go back 5. Man, I can't see crap on 5. So I'm going to go back to 3. At 1959, that's way down. That ain't going to do me no good. We'll just look at the 20-day. I want to keep it in this channel. No lower than this third support area. Right around 2490. That's where we had the ascending triangle. And I'm going to adjust that just a little bit to right there. I want to make this line green so I can remember it. Then we're going to go to the daily 1 minute. Yeah, so we got two nice channels right in here with a real strong buy. I mean, if this thing pulls back and we have a big dip on the Bitcoin, we could probably get in this trade at 21.91, and you'll have a real double bottom play right there. That'll be a good knife catch. You have third support right here at the 24.27. Then this channel is what I want to keep it in. So we're going to color this baby in. I'm going to take a drink. And we got a resistance level right here, the previous high. Bam. Right there at 27.35. So we have three support levels to hold. This low one right here, right around 26.45, 27.28, 27.30 area. See where she pulled back here and held? With the first support right here at 28.21, resistance to break at 29.28. If that breaks, we'll take it up to 30. That's going to be Riot. And then she can go ahead and go higher too. But she needs to kind of pull back, I think, and then retrace back up. Depends on how Bitcoin trades on Monday. So we got Riot on there. Let's look at Mara. CYM. Look at Mara real fast. Well, if they get FDA approval, bingo, then that stock's going to have a nice bounce. Okay? Yeah, NCTY to become, but they're from, you know, like I said, China. I'm not, but I'll tell you something else. I talk about being in the now. With the new administration that's coming in, and we know how much he's embezzled from China with his son, they're going to try to keep smooth with each other. So I think they're going to be an appeasement administration, and they're going to be appeasing other countries compared to what Trump was. And so I think a lot of maybe Europe, China can become bullish in a way. So that's something that we talk about being in the now. That's going to be a benefit for China stocks. Before, for 4 years, we weren't that bullish on China. As you know, the market fell in China. They had some of their worst trading years. But when we appease them, that'll make them happy, and that'll make the traders happy. And that's how they think. They don't care about the companies. They don't care what they bring in. They just want to buy on the dip. But I want to talk about Nile too before we get out of here. So we got a low support down here at 26.43, 27.35, and 28.21 on Riot. And the next one we're going to talk with that resistance to break at 29.28. And see, what else are we going to talk about? Mara. Mara's had a good run too. I'm a little more bullish. I'm bullish on both of them. One will run better, but this thing's really ran up good, especially in the last 4 days with Bitcoin. It'll be the same scenario. If it pulls back, it'll be a buy. If it breaks, if Bitcoin breaks beyond 40,000 or wherever it is now and gets up to 50, this thing will keep running on up. See, people don't have 40 grand or 50 grand to trade Bitcoin. They're going to be trading Riot and Mara. Riot and Mara. And maybe that NCTY could be a sympathy play. But I wouldn't be 100% bullish on it. Not me. Okay, what am I doing wrong here? something going on. I got to figure out what's going on here. This stock's doing what it's doing. I can't figure out why. Huh. Oh, I see. That'll make a big difference. So we're going to find support levels on this stock. Low support right here at 22.03 for a strong buy. Then we've got this area right in here at 23.82, 23.80, and then 24.82. It's going to be your three support levels. Your first one's going to be right here at 26.97, resistance to break at 28.74, on up to 30 bucks. It's about the same price as right now. So you have your choice between the two. That's Mara. Let's do a couple more and then we're going to call it quits. Please hit that like button down below. If you have any comments after this video, it's going to be recorded, and you want to keep up to date on the stock itself that you called out in the room, put it down in the comments section and I'll respond to it and tell you if you're concerned about maybe it's going to pull and break resistance, or if it got some news, encourage me to give a comment back on it. So I'd really do appreciate it if you place some comments down there. Let's talk about the next one. TIGR is a good one. TIGR. Is that the one you're talking about? Thank you, Ricky. I appreciate that. CYRN. Is that another blockchain? You see here, cyber attack. Okay, cybersecurity stock. Okay, this is a good one. It's like that. Earnings per share beats the estimate. Had 9 million, had good earnings. Cybersecurity, recent cyber attack news. That's why this stock's going to be a good one for us, especially with what I'm hearing here lately. I'm drawing little support levels. Just kind of going through here and looking for, like I said, places of consolidation and places of previous high and low. So I'm thinking, let's look at the float. CYRN. I think I'm going to go out and have me a fancy dinner after this. I like to eat good. I really need to float of 26 million, so it kind of fits in my 25 million category. That's good. That's good. Threat of intelligence helps ensure the effectiveness of security posture against thieves. Threats. I hate threats. I don't like to be threatened. This is a good stock. I like it. I think this can really start to move. I'm really into cybersecurity, especially with the new administration coming in. They're going to be an appeasement administration, so they're not going to be as bright when it comes to foreign policy. Okay. We got a support channel right down in here. So I'm going to color this in. If we do have a pullback, no lower. I'm telling you, if it breaks down below $1, it's going to be a strong buy. If it goes below it, and just kind of watch the candles and watch the volume and see if we get a retracement back up to that $1. I do like that dollar area. We're going to color that in because this channel, you know, just tells me a lot of information. It tells me a lot, you know, about the stock. Well, that was funny. So if it does pull back in here and there's a little pivot point area in here, I'm thinking it's probably, whoops. Right about there. I always like to look for a pivot point area in that channel. And we're going to make this white so I can see it better. Maybe. Yeah, I can see that a lot better. At 108, that's probably where it might pull back to. Then you got that first support on top of the channel right at 111. So those are the three buy areas, a buck, 108, 107, and then that 111. And then resistance to break is going to be 121 and 127. Now if this thing breaks past that 127, you can take it up to the previous, then she'll start running pretty good. And you can take it maybe up here to right around the 135. And I like this area right in here at 146. That's going to be CRYN. I like it. I like it because of the security. You know, we need better security system. These kind of running together. So if you have a security watch list, there might be a cyber attack, you know, it might be a good idea to start one up. With a long, hard resistance right here at 150. If she really starts to run, that's where you want to maybe scale out and take some moolah. But if you get in at $1, you could run it up to 120 and scalp it there too. This would be a scalping trade to me. I'd have to watch the momentum and the volume. That's a good one. I like it. TIGR, you're welcome, Nico. I hope everybody appreciates this. TIGR, and then we got PACB. Is that what you're talking about? Consider good, then PACB of the likes. Am I right? And then what was that other one? TIGR. I think that's the one you're talking about. Or is it? TIGIR. That ain't TAG. Let me see here. There's no such thing, so it's got to be TIGR. You want me to do JAGX, huh? Okay. I'm going to spoil you, I guess. I don't mind doing that. It keeps you coming. Okay, this looks like a pretty good little thing that could be running into next week. Now remember, this, I think, let's pull up the website. First, we're going to check out the volume. I mean the float. I always like to look at the float. You know, you've noticed on every stock it's part of the learning process for me. I want to know if this is a low floater pump stock or if it actually is a reasonable float that has momentum. I want to know what kind of traders are in it. I mean, if I see something that's 1.5 million, I know it's getting pumped, but I have nothing against pumpers, don't take me wrong. I just know when I say pump, I mean there's going to be a lot of people watching it because that's all they trade. That's their scan's set up for 1.5 million. 2.5 million. Anything under 5 million. So I want to know that. This is Finvich Holding Limited. TIGR Brokers, technology of investing more efficient. TIGR Brokers, leading online broker, would believe that technology makes easier than blah 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 access to the global market. Okay. I like that. It's an insurance group, provides insurance products and services focused on specialty casualty lines in the United States. The company underwrites the insurance product offering, workers' compensation, medical, so claims. Brokerage company is founded in 1966. Okay. We had a closing of a public offering on July 20th. Insurance acquisition of another insurance company. Makes expensive mistakes that cost future. That ain't gonna be nothing to be on. ROA of 21%, impressive. Third quarter results. TIGR. Okay. So they probably had good earnings. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the stock. I got what I need. It's an insurance company. We got a 916 support level. Channel right in here at 973. That's what I want to see hold. Strong buy down here at 837 if it pulls back. I'd set an alert down here at 837. The second support right here at 916. Well, actually, there's another one right here. Let's go ahead and relook at this. This channel right here, I like to see hold. It took 4 days for it to finally break out. A quad top. You don't hear too many people talk about a quad top. I do. I've heard just maybe a couple traders ever speak of it. Usually on a triple top, they're out of the straight if it doesn't hold. But this here has momentum, and I think we can go a lot higher. So let's look at some further resistance levels on it. I remember this breakout. This is when I met Tony in the room, and this is one of the first trades I seen him take. And he ran this trade all the way up to that $23 level. I forgot when he got out of it, but this was one of the first trades that I seen him take. So we're going to look for another resistance level on that 3-year chart. That's actually 2-year. 1227, and then 1329, and 1522. And then I can't see what's in here. Damn Fibonacci's. Bam and bam. I wouldn't care much about this wick at all. I wouldn't let that interfere with my trade. Not until we got past that. That's going to be a hard resistance at 17 something. So we're going to draw a green line on it. Then we're going to finish up here. Kind of do a little summary. I'm going to get me something to eat. I haven't ate but an egg and a piece of toast this morning. And some chocolate. I've had chocolate every day for the last 25 years. That's my secret. Now you know my secret of life. Okay, you see how I kind of charted this up? I found the resistance levels. I went back a year and a half to 2 years. I'll tell you what. Do you have TOS? If you have TOS, you're asking me about the automatic Fibonacci's. Down below in the comments section, after it's recorded, I'll go ahead and give you the script to this chart right here. If you have TOS. How's that grab you? Should grab you pretty good. Okay, so we got 3 different support levels. I don't want to see it go any lower than 916. Then you'll have the Fibonacci setup script in the comments section. And anybody else that has TOS can have it too. Just tell them that you got it from a nice guy called Washboard Jim that I love stocks. And if you share it, I mean, I don't care if you share it. because I got it shared to me. One thing about life is giving. If you're all doing real good in trading, help somebody in need. Build up that karma. Okay, we got 3 support levels. We got 916, we got 976, and we got 1015. Support to hold at 1061. We'll go back to this yearly chart. Let's go back to the 3-year. Resistance levels to break, 1227, 1227, 1329, 1515, and 1676. I think this stock can run up more. I'd like to see it pull back a little bit and take the trade if I was looking at it. If she starts to break out, the stock's going to go up here to right around the 1223 area. That's going to be Tiger. I got a tiger by the tail. It's plain to see. So that's it. Let me see if I got any more in here that I missed. Nah. Oh, JAGX. And PACB. Didn't I do that one already? No need to check PAC, just a comment. Oh, I think, okay, good. If I did already talk about it. But I got to do this JAGX. I mean, you're getting spoiled, kid. Next time, just have one, and then if I'm done, we'll do more. So let's go up to the 20-day here. Woo! Wow! Look at that run. My gosh. So let's clear this out. You can tell I was looking at it this year. We've had the breakout, so we need to have this support level. On the 20-day, we can look at the Fibonacci here, the 50-day retracement, 50% retracement. I always like to look at that on the 20-day. And look where she runs right up in here, the resistance level. You see that? That could be a real solid support. We now have a descending pattern into close. And I showed you that chart earlier on a descending pattern. It could go either way, but I think it's going to pull back. I'm looking at this 342 area, and I'm looking at this 376. And I'm looking at this spot right down here at 309. With a strong buy to hold at 289. That's a dollar dip. Now if this thing retraces back up, I want to check out the float. $63 million float. I respect that. It's a Jaguar Health company. You know, I always like to look at the news. Oh, what about diarrhea treatment? Someone had the shits? Metessa is the only FDA-approved diarrhea treatment that's been studied sufficiently by adults. Oh, it helps people with HIV, AIDS, hepatitis probably too. It's a plant-based prescription. That's environmentally friendly. Oh, I like that part of it. So it's a diarrhea stock. For dogs or for pets, if I remember right, not for people, right? I always thought this was a pet stock, but I really like this in here. JAGX commercial pharmaceutical company focused on development, sustained gas in the whole event. Plant-based. Yeah, this is pretty cool. It's for people. ZOM's for pets. The guy couldn't run if he had diarrhea, I guarantee it. This is very important, people, you know. People with health conditions, I guarantee it's being subscribed. So we have a low support. Let's look at the yearly chart on this baby. We'll go back 3 years. So we got some 3-year resistance levels on it too. I'm going to draw one right in here. Right about there. Go to 1 year. What was that number? I got to go back and look at that number. Oh hell, that's way too high. Yeah, this stock really can turn around. We're going to resistance break it there. Let's pull up the 1 year. One more look at the 1 year. Damn. I want to try to get into that. Two-year weekly. I just can't find any good resistance levels on this. Let me see if I magnify this up a little bit. No, ain't gonna work. So we'll just go back here. With a 445, 447. Now I'm using the wick for a resistance level. You know, I'll talk about that. So let's see, strong buy in this channel right down here between 290 and 309. The second support, the second support here at 342 and then 376 with a resistance to break at 442. And if we can get past 447, we'll take this to $5. This is going to be a trade where you want to watch price action and the volume. And if you have any other indicators that you like to use, as long as this holds a 9, we're going to be fine. Or it can pull back to this 34 is what I'm looking at. Let's look at the daily 1 minute and see if I missed anything. I think actually I'd rather look at the daily 1 minute and call this trade out. So you got three support levels with a strong buy down here at 289. If it holds this channel, it has a double bottom right here, and you have one more right here. So yeah, there's your support that needs to hold, is right in here at the 392. If that 392 holds and it moves up, you're fine, but we've had lower highs. It's kind of a descending pattern, lower highs. You know, I think I'm going to be watching this stock next week. So that's a descending pattern right there. But it's on an uptrend, but it's also on a downtrend. So we can pull back no lower than this area right here at 342 for your strong buy. The second one's going to be right in here at 360. See, I got to that minute chart and it changed my whole basis on how I wanted to look at the trade. Daily 1 minute. Anybody that knows me, I scalp on the daily 1 minute. If I'm swing trading, I look for a farther out date. But I want to see this first support hold at 392. Then you've got this channel. And if it goes in this channel, you've got 3 support levels. You got the 376, the 50% retracement here at 359 to hold, with a strong buy right down here at 342 back up to these resistance bars. What used to be a resistance now becomes supports. Same way as if we broke up here, these resistance levels would now become support levels. So we want 447 to break and bring it to $5. JAGX, I like it. I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Oh, please. Which one do you want? Man, you're really pushing it today. SNDL. Then we're going to call it quits. I don't think good when I'm have empty stomach. Let's look at the yearly chart. Yeah, we see this has been a good one too. We're starting to curl up. We got a little pocket pivot right in here. It's at forming a little cup. If we can get it up here a little bit higher, we might have to start to form a handle. We do have a nice doji here. That's a breakout candle. Okay, check it out. That is a breakout candle. That's called a doji. There's different kinds of dojis. This one here, I think we're going to break on up to higher levels. And I'm going to go ahead and use my extended trend lines from 2020. You notice, see, this is a 2020 resistance level. And you notice, see how we came up to it and stopped? I can still use the previous resistance levels that I used, maybe goes back 2 to 3 years. Now it's getting a little blurry. My screen's getting a little blurry. Huh. Maybe it's telling me it's too long or something. Is it blurry to you guys? So we got a resistance to break at 68.70 to take it to 74. And then maybe up to these different resistance levels. No, it's not blurry? Okay, good, because mine's showing it is. That's all right. I can still read it here. We do have a bullish candle right here that's a doji. And I think it can go up and break out to these higher levels. And we're going to look at 71.12, 74.97. Let's see if I can pull it up here on a 20-day. Go back a year. Give you a better call on this. We got a hard resistance up here right around 114. Okay? So remember that 114 area. There we go. Now we got this. This is nice. I like it. I think it's forming a good little bowl. I think we had this doji. And if the momentum and the volume picks up, and it gets social media's attention, we can run this up to the highest level up here, right around 91 cents. That's going to be your hard resistance to break. If we can get past that, then you take it to 109, 112, and 124. If not, she'll pull back down here to this level right here at 60 cents for your first support, and then no lower. Still be bullish at 55. That's SNDL, folks. That's it. Time for me to go out and eat. I hope you do appreciate this. And I'm going to take all this off, and this is going to be recorded. Please hit that like button if you haven't already. We have some information about our website down here. We have some other stuff down below in the content area. Go through that. We'd appreciate it. We have affiliate link with TrendSpider. We have our website. That's how you log into our chat room. There is a charge for it. You can see all the information if you pull it up. If not, I'm always posting on social media. Vegas is always posting on social media. This is our website right here. We got a little Twitter bird account. Hit that and follow it. We're gaining followers day by day. We're posting alerts in here. You can follow some of the calls that we're making in the room. We also have an area where our stock twits is hanging out at. I'm going to get this higher than 31K. Been on here for a few years now. Hit my follow button, subscribe to me. Miss Vegas is on here too. And then we've got our Pinterest website. We got our YouTube channel. Please subscribe and ring that bell. Then you'll get notifications of the videos that I do. I do small videos. I do a watch list video on the weekend for the next week. And then I do a recap on stocks, maybe one ticker. Try to get them in every night. I'm busy on Tuesday night and Thursday night. I don't know if I have much time, but I keep them short and sweet. If you were following me last week, you would have definitely been watching Nile with me. I want you to watch some of these videos that I have. There's some lessons in here too. But I like to do videos on stocks that I'm bullish on. And I hardly ever do a bearish video, so keep that in mind. I do appreciate you all showing up, and I just want to say thank you. Let's have a good year. Be charitable in your lifetime. Create good karma. Every trader is different. You got to find a way to trade that fits your pattern. And I'm going to say goodbye. And I really do love doing this. I've been at it for a very long time, and I think I have more fun sharing ideas and helping people than I do actually making money, because I don't need to make money. I've already got the money to made. But I average maybe 300 to 500 a day. My year's goal this year is to average 1,000 a day. I also do have a challenge account, and I'm going to keep that posted on StockTwits and on Twitter of stocks that I'll be trading or stocks that I'm watching, but you'll always keep updated. I'm up 43% in a week on my account, and I'm going to have 2 challenges now. I'm going to have a cash and a margin account, because one has the PDT rule, and I just think it sucks. And for me to learn how to swing, I need a little bit more mobility. So have a great day. I love stocks. I'm going to shut this baby off. If I can find my OBS. There we are. Have a great day.